And good morning and welcome to VSA Capital 5-Minute Morning Miner on Tuesday, the 21st of February. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I am all right, thank you. It wasn't that well overnight, though, so I'm going to work from home today, I think.
Fair enough. I'm sorry that I missed you yesterday and you were doing it with Ollie. And for those that don't know, Ollie got engaged this weekend. So congratulations to Ollie. Seemed a long time ago since I did that. Long time ago since you did it, Paul.
That's right, yeah.
Anyway, there we go. Let's move on to mining. Now, the big boys have been reporting. I think we've got BHP and Antofagasta. They're always really complicated when you look at these figures. You can't really sort of analyze them, I think, in sort of a morning, or the sort of morning that we have. Antofagasta is offsite. You've got a few issues going on, but if you want to play copper, Antofagasta is probably the way to play it. But what do you think, Paul?
Yes, Antofagasta with its full year results out today, it also being a pure play in copper, so that's why people like to own that stock in order to have a proxy for the movements in the copper price as well. It is reporting numbers which are lower than on a comparable basis, and that's simply because the copper price pretty much is lower as well. Year revenue came in at 5.8 billion, which was down 21%, and the margin also declined as well because of the rising inflationary costs of production on consumables and things like that. So we had a margin at 50% on EBITDA, which was a 22.7% deterioration. So in comparisons wise, year on year, yeah, there's a bunch of minus column statements out here, but they have, except for the things on costs, and that is where the costs have been gone up on a comparable basis as well. Now cash costs at $2.19 a pound, which is up 22%. And the net cash cost at 161, which is up 34%. So those are some of the issues around Antofagasta's numbers.
Yeah, okay. Anything on BHP?
BHP, we had a similar situation, except theirs is for interim statement with them. And with their numbers coming in on an interim statement, also well down because of both iron ore and copper prices on comparables being quite a bit lower. The bottom line is that it's a solid set of numbers, so they had a position of a solid dividend to declare at this point. But other than that, you have to say that they have the same issues that Antofagasta had with higher costs. But they did have higher production as well by volume, but it couldn't offset the changes in costs and changes lower in price.
Anyway, that's the big minus. It's a macro sort of game at that level rather than the micro game. Talking to micro games, we've got Bushveld Minerals put out an interesting little announcement today on media speculation over their electrolyte company that they're creating, saying that they haven't actually produced any electrolyte yet, and that it's all going to be dependent upon sales and offtakes by OEMs. This is obviously in the vanadium flow battery business. Bushveld obviously trying to go down the sort of vertically integrated route, being a vanadium miner, an electrolyte producer, and through its holding in CellCube Enerox, a vanadium flow battery company. I think it's really pushing its limits slightly. Electrolyte's a very complex thing. I say it's complex. It's actually very simple, but you've got to get it very pure. Very few people know how to get it very pure. Actually, most of the best electrolyte comes either from China or actually a little family-owned business just outside Reading, which I have visited. They make a fantastic electrolyte. Anyway, Bushveld not quite getting that one right.
And the media, and in their sense, the media is a little bit ahead of itself. It sees that something is starting to turn at the plant, but that doesn't mean that the plant is actually producing material yet. And we know that plants take a good 3 to 6 months in order to get up and running while they do all the testing on them. And that's the situation in Bushveld's case.
Well, actually, the solution for the vanadium flow battery industry, which is about to go ballistic, I believe, because it's just the ultimate solution for long duration energy storage, is to have a standardized electrolyte for all companies And actually, the solution probably is to license the technology of this little family business just outside Reading, so that everybody has a standard electrolyte that works for all machines. That would actually help the industry tremendously. Trouble is, like so many things, herding cats is never easy, but maybe that's something that they'll be talking about at the International Flow Battery Forum, which is in Prague towards the end of June. Not often I mention that one, but there you go. If anybody's going, that's what they should be discussing, maybe. Right, moving on. You'd probably quite like to mention one of your favorite little companies, Paul, eStar Resources.
eStar Resources had just a little statement out here. It's a longer statement than really with the news that came through on it. And the bottom line is they had completed the shallow assessment drilling on their clay-hosted telluric deposit there in Kazakhstan, and the samples from the kaolinite prospective horizon that they believe contains the rare earths are now off to the lab. The XRF readings would suggest that it is mineralized. Of course, you can't do reporting on XRF results with any compliance, but the bottom line is that they're encouraged by what they can see with the XRF, and therefore they'll be stepping in. Once they have the assays back, they'll be compositing some of these samples in order to do metallurgical testing as well.
Very good. Any others you want to mention this morning?
Yeah, unlike some of the financial statements out from the majors, you have Sylvania Platinum, the PGM producer in South Africa, with surprisingly good numbers, I thought, particularly with the issues around the worsening situation in the power situation with grid power with Eskom. Cash balance rose to $124 million on its interim results. The net profit also rose. Previous period was $24.4 million last year, but $32.6 million this year on their net profit. Interim dividend was also declared at 3p per share, and they have the board has agreed a new dividend policy from the 1st of July. The forecasted production guidance was also increased, so that you'd have to say the numbers, at least at this point, looking pretty good for Sylvania. They do have a analyst presentation coming up at 10 in the morning here too.
Very good. Okay. Any final one, or are you happy leaving it at that?
That's good for me.
All right, and don't forget, obviously, it's not long now till PDAC, less than 2 weeks. You, Ollie, and myself will be out there. So if anybody's listening in the sort of Toronto-based or going to PDAC and you want to get in touch with us, do drop us a line and we will meet you there. And speak to you tomorrow, Paul.
Very good. See you then.